Yes, another example of this kind of paradox, where the thing that the United States does to counter China is actually helping China, not the United States, is you say rational and wasteful defense spending, which you say it is in this might surprise some people, that you say it's in China's national interest for American wasteful defense spending to continue. The more money America spends on weapon systems that will never be used against China, because, as you say, a war between the two countries would result in the destruction of both countries. You say that the better off China will be, and American military expenditures are geopolitical gifts to China. That is certainly something that those authorizing those expenditures don't believe.
Yeah. And you see, the tragedy here is that the way America spends money on defense expenditures, in theory, you should first work out a strategy and say, what kind of weapons do we need? And then you work backwards and say, okay, in this new strategic environment, maybe instead of piloted jets, we need pilotless jets, because drones today are as good as piloted jets. You spend so much money in an aircraft trying to protect the body of the pilot, but once you have a pilotless jet, everything is much cheaper, and you don't, and the planes can go faster. They don't have to worry about the human body in there. And similarly, today with advanced missiles, aircraft carriers have become sitting ducks. You no longer need aircraft carriers anymore to project power. But the reason why you cannot change course is because in America, and this is part of being a plutocracy, the arms industry can lobby the US Congress to pass bills to buy weapons that are outmoded and that are no longer needed. So America is producing a lot of weapons that will not be useful when the real war comes, because the aircraft carriers will be sitting ducks in the face of all these hypersonic and supersonic missiles that are being developed. But you have vested interest deciding what should be purchased. But if you do a zero-based thing, you can actually defend the United States much more effectively with half the budget or 1/4 of the budget with much more effective weapons. But of course, the large part of the military-industrial complex will complain, and then they'll go to Congress, and you won't be able to arrive at a rational decision. So in that sense, it is not China that is distorting your defense expenditures. It's the American political system that is preventing the United States from having rational defense policies.
We've been talking here about how the United States policy towards China is ultimately irrational and self-defeating and pseudo-Machiavellian, without actually thinking sensibly about what is in the interests of this country. But it's not the only example that you give of self-defeating Western policy. Just opening up your book here, Has the West Lost It? You'd say you have a section, Strategic Errors, Islam, Russia, and Meddling in World Affairs, and you make a series of arguments there that, for example, the United States treatment of Russia after the Cold War actually led to the rise of Putin, which was preventable, and that the United States, through its disastrous wars in the Middle East, has created, in many sense, or exacerbated the problems that supposedly we are trying to solve.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the Iraq war was completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. I mean, you spend $3 trillion of blood and treasure, and at the end of the day, delivered a broken state in which is not safe for Americans to live in. Right? And similarly, by the way, the removal of Gaddafi was a huge mistake, especially for the Europeans, because Gaddafi was acting like the cock in the bottle, preventing a surge of migrants from Africa towards Europe. But as soon as Gaddafi was removed, the floodgates opened up. So it's not in their interest. So it's important to do a rational calculation of where your interests lie, and it's not in America's interest necessarily to fight forever wars and to have 800 military bases around the world. because the United States is a very safe country. You are protected by two wonderful, huge oceans, and you're protected by Canada and Mexico. And you don't have hostile republics at your border. So you can actually cut down your defense expenditures dramatically. And instead of making it a sole American mission to keep international waterways safe, work with the other navies in the world and work cooperatively, because all of us share common interests in keeping international sea lanes safe.
You know, you served as president of the. I mean, I believe you were in the UN Security Council in the lead up to the Iraq War. What
That's right, in 2001, 2002.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was. You could see the tension building up in the Security Council, because the United States was trying to pass a resolution saying that to justify an invasion of Iraq, and it was very clear that Russia, China, and Germany and France thought it was a wrong decision. And frankly, if the United States had listened to its good friends, Germany and France, who said, you shouldn't fight this war, you will lose a lot of money and you will be worse off. The United States could have saved $3 trillion, and by the way, used it to develop the infrastructure of the United States and make it as gleaming as that of China. So why spend $3 trillion fighting an unnecessary war? And I'm surprised that no one has been held accountable for this unnecessary war. And I should also mention that I'm making these points because I actually believe that the United States can become, once again, a very strong country. And the goal of all my prescriptions is not to weaken the United States, but to strengthen the United States and to make it a more effective actor in a complex world environment.
偷偷告诉大家，我最近发现了新法宝 Royal Face 逆时奇迹系列，它有活肤露、全效精华，还有精华霜。尤其我皮肤比较偏干，所以我非常的注重保湿。保湿做得好，肌肤自然烹饪。提亮肤色更年轻，抚平皱纹超有感，而且气色变好。用心保养，每天都更美一点。美吧。